right, aloha friends. It's Brian Goss with GM Sports Media, and this is another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. My guest today is none other than Mr. Marc Henry. You can watch him on his own podcast, on the Mark Sports Show, every Wednesday, starting a new time slot this coming Wednesday, 6 p.m. Check him out on YouTube as well as the Fishbowl Radio Network Facebook page and iTunes. You can also check out his website on themarksports.com. Mark, thanks for coming back on the show.
Absolutely. Good to be back, man. Good to see you, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Ready to roll. Let's
Ready
get
to
to it.
roll. Yep.
Yes,
Week
sir.
one of the Texas high school football season is already here. It felt like just the other day, it was mid-December there at Jerry's World and watching all the state winners. But here we are, 2025, and let's dive right into it. Week one matchups. We kind of talked about where you're deciding to go, and we have to start with Thursday night. Who other than the defending state champions, the North Crawley Panthers and Ray Gates, as they will host Lancaster. Yeah, just kind of talk about that matchup and what you're looking for both teams, Mark.
Well, I mean, you got to look at the North Carolina Panthers kind of in a reload mode. Of course, they lose a lot of seniors. Chris Jimerson Jr. Of course, Quentin Gibson. These guys were 3-year starters there and kind of built the foundation there with Coach Gates when he came in. Coach Gates is 40-2 in 3 years. Only two losses were in the playoffs. Three straight district titles. So they haven't lost a regular season game, and I think that's something. If you know Coach Gates very well, that's something that he takes pride in with that particular program. Lancaster on the other side, Coach Paul and those guys, they've been one of those teams that kind of flies under the radar, but they get hot late. A couple years ago, they made a deep 4-round playoff run. Of course, they were senior heavy at that time. And they're kind of reloading as well. And listen, I think that Lancaster's a team in that 11-6A district that could make some noise. I think 11-6A is a little more wide open than people think. Of course, Duncanville's going to be, the team that catches all the headlines. You have DeSoto. Waxahachie's another sleeper coming out of that district. And you just cannot forget about the Lancaster Tigers. Condolences to that particular program and the families over there, Coach Paul and those guys, my guy, Coach Whitley and all those guys that I know over there. Condolence with the tragic event last week. But I think they got something to rally for behind that as well. But they're playing for bragging rights here. They come to North Crowley's house. Gossett, last year, this particular game was at the Star, and it was a 28-21 victory for North Crowley. I think during the regular season, that was probably the closest anybody got to them. And that says something about the Lancaster offensive line and defensive line and the physicalness that they have. Victor Scott's one of the best running backs in the country. He's going to tote that rock for those guys. You got to look at Lovey Berry as well, the DB on the defensive side of the ball. But they're going to have their hands full with Demarion Mays, 2028 wide receiver. If you have not had a chance to see this guy, you need to get up front and see this guy. He's probably, in my opinion, one of the better receivers in the country in the 28 class. I was at the Trinity scrimmage a couple weeks ago. I had a chance to see him, as a youngster. Of course, last year over 1,600 yards at Life Oak Cliff. He comes over here and he's established himself as the go-to receiver in a deep receiver room that includes Hayden Green as well. On the running back side, you got returning 2027 running back Keontae Ingram. You also got Jarrell Smith who'll be toting it as well. Hayes Coulier looked very good as well as DeMarcus Harris, the two quarterbacks that I think are battling for that position. So, and then you also have the Texas commit in John Turntide III, who's going to be anchoring that offensive line. Defensively, the secondary is one of the best in the country. Jerry Outhouse Jr., of course, double-digit offers. You got Aaron Bradshaw, the Texas Tech commit, Thomas Cook Jr., the Colorado State commit, and you got Elijah Warren Houston. This is one of the best secondaries in the state. They're going to have their hands full, that is Lancaster, trying to pass the football because they can get pass rush with Beasley and company up front. I think this is going to be a game where Lancaster has to come out and establish themselves early because Crowley IC Stadium is going to be rocking. But I think those are some of the guys you'll look for. At least, I'll be at this game. Those will be some of the guys that I'm looking to see. Some of the guys didn't play the last time I was over there in the scrimmage. They weren't. They just they weren't not healthy. They were just held out for precautionary reasons or whatever. But I think that Coach Gates has this deepest wide receiver room that he's had in a long, long time. A lot of times, we saw the Quinn Gibson show last year, but this is going to be a variety of guys that catch the ball. But if you hadn't seen Mays play, this is a guy you need to get eyes on. He's going to be a top recruit around the nation in the 2028 class. Already has offers from all of the blue bloods that you can think of in college football.
Yeah, just talking about Mays again, for those that don't know, just looking up Darian Mays and Quentin Gibson from last year. Obviously, if you know the size difference, Mays got about 5 inches on Gibson. But what are some of the other than the size? What are some similarities and differences between Mays and Gibson?
I think you have, Quentin Gibson is a little bit maybe shiftier in space, can get in and out of space real quick and go 0 to 100 real quick. What I love about Mays is his ability to set defensive backs up early. Obviously, he has a large catch radius and violent hands that he uses well to beat press coverage. You're not going to press this guy, and then he can go over the top. He can make the catch in traffic. He's the complete receiver. Also, you got Jeremy Cooper, one of the 2027 tight ends that's got Alabama, Oklahoma, some of the blue bloods of college football as well. He's back on that offensive side of the football. So this, like I said, Gossip, this is a loaded receiver room that you want to talk about. And I think Mays is a guy that's emerging to be one of the national guys, not just in the state of Texas. If you've been around high school football for a little while, of course, in the off season, I'm camp heavy with the Under Armour camps, the prep red zones, the rivals camps and things like that. This is the type of camp settings that we get a chance to see these guys as well as 7-on-7. So I've had a chance to see all of these guys in the offseason, and I think they're ready to take it to the next level. They don't have the senior leadership out of Jemerson, on the quarterback side of things offensively. But you can best believe Jeremy Cooper's going to have something to do with that. Hayden Green and definitely Mays and Keontae Ingram are going to have something to say offensively for the North Crowley Panthers. I think this is one of the deepest offensive teams that Coach Gates has had in his tenure there going into year 4.
Yeah, some other matchups here in week one. You know, in the last several years, they've been right there, contenders to go to Jerry's World and win it all. You have South Oak Cliff and North Shore. Just talk about that epic matchup.
Well, this is going to be a new thing for North Shore. They're going to come to Dallas. Last year, I was at that game. I drove down to Houston, and it was a 35-0 lead for North Shore pretty early. Some big plays over top was the difference in the game, but they just didn't hammer away at South Oak Cliff like you would think they did. South Oak Cliff hung around a little bit in that first quarter, the first few minutes. It was like 14-0, and then North Shore had some big plays over top. Caleb Maryland is going to be the signal call. He's a Utah State commit for North Shore. He's going to be under center. We're talking about a guy that can go get it when it comes to running the football, and he's got a great arm. He really has some good touch on his deep ball, and also he can get it done in the short to intermediate areas. North Shore is going to be known for their physical play up front and on the defensive side of the football. But I think this is the year that Mikael Trotter, Levon Morton, and those guys for South Oak Cliff. This is probably the deepest that they've had in the skill position. We're talking about 8 or 9 guys deep offensively. They're breaking in a new quarterback. But Jamarian Phillips is one of the best linebackers. He's a Baylor commit for South Oak Cliff. He's going to be the guy, with that Mike linebacker. With if they had a dot in high school football like they do in the pros, this is going to be the guy that's going to be calling the signals. You also got Marcel Gibson, the Clemson commit at cornerback. That's one of the best corners in the state of Texas and definitely nationally ranked. So, but this time they got to they got to come to the south side of things. They got to go to Kincaid Stadium. They got to come on the road and face a hostile environment in Dallas. If like I know, Gossip, the Dallas and Houston rivalry between high school football teams is something that you have to be there to see. I mean, it's been going on for a while. You can go all the way back to Demetrius Davis and the Hail Mary with the North Shore Duncanville rivalry. But it's become one of those things where these two cities are now really competitive. And I think that South Oak Cliff knows that they have a shot to beat these guys. And I think, at home, they probably have a little something cooking for them. I think that, Coach Todd, Coach Spencer, Coach Ward and those guys. Coach Bryce. I know this coaching staff very well. And Coach Willie Gaston from North Shores, one of the best coaches in the state of Texas as well. But if I had my money on a coaching staff, just a coaching staff outside of North Crowley, I like South Oak Cliff and their coaching staff and their ability to get these guys in the right position to play and play physical football. This is something that they do, and I like South Oak Cliff to get back to the state championship this year as well.
Yeah, it's always fun to listen in the press box during state championship week or read on Twitter, who's better, the DFW Metroplex or Houston, and then just trying to see, which teams come out on top. But it's always kind of fun to, as an outsider, to watch that and cover it.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Of course, I grew up in the Houston area, so I know about North Shore, and I've been in the DFW area covering high school football for a decade or so now. So I know about the DFW area. I'm well versed in both areas. I usually go between both areas during the season, covering teams in Houston and teams in Dallas. So right now, guys, the DFW area has it when it comes to state championships. You look at Salina last year. You look at Duncanville's reign. You still have North Crowley. At the DFW area right now is head and shoulders above Houston when it comes to winning state titles at this point. It'll be interesting in 2025. Do we see the usual suspects or do we see some new guys or some new blood emerge in the high school scene?
Talking with Marc Henry on the Mark Sports. And the other one that kind of caught your eye is Melito and Denton Geyer. Just talk about why you like that matchup.
Well, I like the Denton Guyer matchup. They're on the road against Alito, who's a perennial power, but they didn't make it to the state title game last year. That's the first time in a long time that they didn't get to the state title game and win it. I think that Alito knows that they're going to have to really come with it in that particular district that they're in. That includes Richland. That also includes Denton Ryan. As far as Guyer goes, I think that they have some of the top 2027 players in the state of Texas. Under center this year, Zephyr Cry, the 2027 quarterback, 6'4", guy that can sling it. He's got great touch on the deep ball, short to intermediate areas. He can spray the route tree. You also got Corbin Glasgow coming back, who's going to be everything guy for those guys on the receiver side of things. Zane Rowe, the do it everything, edge guy, but he can also play on the tight end on the offensive side of the football. 2027 class. He was committed to Oklahoma as a freshman, but I mean, he's got offers from all of the blue bloods that you want to see in college football. We're talking about 6'5", a guy that's 240, great length, a great burst off the line of scrimmage. And you also got Kyron Haywood as well, another 2027 defensive lineman that's got offers from all of the schools, Texas A&M, LSU, Oklahoma, that you can think of when it comes to Power 4 football. The guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing this year is 2028 wide receiver Tristan Shelton. He's a guy that really did some big things on the freshman level this offseason. He had a big showing at Baylor where he ran a 4.240. He's got a number of offers, including Baylor and Houston. He's a guy that I think is going to be prominent in his office. And then you can't talk about Denton Guyer without mentioning the name Cobbs, and that's Caden Cobbs. If you know the Cobbs name, that's synonymous with Denton Guyer football. He's an Illinois commit. He's going to be playing safety, linebacker. He's also going to tote the rock for Denton Guyer as well. And I think that those guys know that they have something on the table to get there. I think before that 2027 class graduates, they'll be challenging for a state title. Now, first, they got to go into Alito, a hostile environment. And gossip, we've covered a number of games over the years in Alito. It's something that they write in books. It's a Friday Night Lights type of thing. It shuts down. All of the lights are on Alito. You got kids from, toddlers to all the way up to, teenagers that are in orange and black. It's one of the most scenic places that you can see a Friday night game. And guys coming into town with something to prove. They got shellacked by South Lake Carroll coming out of there last year, and they thought that this was a game that they kind of let go. Talking to some of the guys, shout out to my guy Greg Hammer, who's an insider over there. Shout out to my guy Coach Kyle Keese, one of the best strength and conditioning coordinators in the country over there. Guys got something to prove, and those guys know that this is going to be the start if they want to make a run to the state title. They also have North Crowley coming to Guard this year, so they got some big games on tap. But it starts we're coming to Bearcat country. And I think if anybody can beat Alito at home in the first game, it's Guy. They have the makeup of a state title team. They just have to prove it on the field. But it starts with Zephyr Cry. This is a guy that's already got Colorado State, Houston, and some offers on the table. He had a real good showing this past offseason up at Kansas State. He's the next guy in the 2027 class to bubble when it comes to quarterbacks.
You know, you've done some great job as always, not just during the season, but in the off season, in the summer. You mentioned camp, 7-on-7s. You know, you've come at me with so many names and teams already, but well, who's one team that you've been impressed with during the off season that we're just really not talking about?
One team that I would say, and I would say that I'll take it like this. I would say the most impressive team that I saw in a scrimmage was South Lake Carroll. I think that the Carroll Dragons have a chance to go back to the state title game. When it comes to offensive football, they are loaded. It starts on the offensive line with Tristan Dare and those guys up front. You got to look at Angelo Randa is one of the top quarterbacks in the state, Pitt commit. Davis Penn's coming back. He's got offers from all of the schools that you can think of in the country. But Brock Boyd was so impressive a couple weeks ago, and I've seen Brock Boyd, before he got to high school, and I've seen him play the last couple of years. But I think this showed me why he's going to Ohio State. Not that I didn't think he should be at Ohio State, but just his ability to take over a game. If they wanted to, they could line up and get it to Brock Boyd at will. But against a very good Waxahachie team that's going to be challenging for a district title in 11-6A, Brock Boyd was dominant. And this was just a scrimmage. I think that Coach Riley Dodge knows that he has a championship level team, and this is the time that they have to take advantage of it. We were both at the state title game against Vandergrift, and I think that Vandergrift, kind of dominated the football, keeping that offense off the field. Now, Brock Boyd, Brody Knowles, and those guys still made big plays over the top in that state title game, but I think that this is the year that Carroll has to come out and really just dominate. They'll have a test. I will say this, Gossett against Trinity in that district matchup. Trinity did look very good over at the scrimmage against North Crowley a couple of weeks ago. But I think that South Lake Carroll just showed at me up front and personally that they're ready to make another run. And it all starts with those guys on the offensive side of the ball. But listen, I'll tell you a guy that I really love on the defensive side for South Lake Carroll, and that's Jake Lucky. Now, he might not pass the eye test when it comes to measurables for the Power Four conference, but he's a guy that's elite at clogging up space, making a push. He's a guy that wrestles as well. But Jake Lucky's the key to that defensive line for the South Lake Carroll Dragons, and I really was impressed with him against Waxahachie a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you this Trinity. They'll be a lot better, and I believe in Salt Lake Carroll, all five starting offensive linemen have committed. So
That's
that's
correct.
yeah, that's just kind of. I think there's going to be a lot of pancake breakfasts that Davis Penn is going to have to owe. But
Absolutely. There's another guy, Biggers, that's coming in. He is a 2027 running back that I think you should know over there as well. Brooks Biggers. He's a 2027 a junior running back. He saw some time over against Waxahachie. I really liked his game. He's going to be a guy that's going to be prominent in that offense as well.
just some of the state champions last year: North Crowley, Elston Vandergrift, Richmond Randall, Smithton Valley, Cartridge, Salina, Gunner. If you had to just pick one right now, who's the best shot to repeat as a state champion?
If I had to pick just one, I like North Crowley. If everything shakes out, they have two quarterbacks that are vying for this for the chance to start. Demarcus Harris is a senior, and you got Hayes Cloutier, who moved in from California. Those two guys are been taking most of the reps for those guys. It's just something about Coach Gates and his staff. Shout out to my guy, Coach Harris, the defensive coordinator as well. Coach White, the running back coach, one of my favorite staffs. But this is, like I said before, this is the most loaded offense that they've had since they've been there. We knew Jimerson can do his thing. We knew that Quentin Gibson was a guy last year. But you got about 4 or 5 guys on that offensive side of the ball when we talk receivers that can get it done. I like North Crowley to go back if they can get through. Stay healthy. It depends on how the matchups shake up. Most likely they'll be D1 as well. But out of those guys, I really like North Crowley coming back. And don't sleep on Richmond Randall coming out of 5A D2 down in the Houston area as well.
Yeah, I mean that says a lot to have to think it's the most explosive offense for North Crowley because I think they were like one of the best offenses in the country last year
In the country.
to even top that this year, and then sort of you don't really have to worry about defense because Coach Gates is such a defensive guy. They're always going to be physical, but when you can add to that offense, that's just scarier.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a defensive guy from his days at Cedar Hill. He was the DC before for
Yeah,
Coach Carlos Lynn, who's at Crowley as well. They're in the same district, right? That'll
yeah,
be the big game at the end of the year. I just think that the program is rolling right now. When you get a chance to see, some of these programs inside Gossip, when we go around to practices and we go around, to games, you get there early and you kind of get a feel for things. You just have that feeling about those guys. That's the feeling I had about them. Each time I had a chance to see them on last year, it just seems like, hey, these guys have something that they don't. They were tested against Capel, they were tested against Duncanville, and when they got to the state title game against Austin Westlake, it was just the thing that Westlake just couldn't catch up at the time. They got hit in the mouth very early, over the top. The flea flicker was the first play. And shout out to my guy, Coach Eli Reinhardt, as well down at Hutto. I think Hutto's a team that could make some noise coming out of the Central Texas area as well.
yeah. He's sort of the one of the masterminds for that North Crowley offense, and now he's at Huddle. So,
Absolutely.
and maybe Huddle's your answer here, or maybe you have another one, but maybe they don't have to win state or even go to state, but maybe a couple rounds deep. Maybe they contend for a district title. Maybe they pick it an upset here or there. But who's that one or two dark horse teams that could shock us this season?
Think you got to go east and look at the North Forney Falcons. I think Coach Shavers has a really good team that have a loaded roster, and they have one of the most dynamic playmakers with the football in his hand in Legend Bay, the Tennessee commit. He can beat you with his feet, and he can beat you with his arm. These guys are loaded. They have one of the best secondaries in the state as well with Ryan Gilbert the second. He's one of those guys that gets it done at the safety position. I think that Coach Shavers knows that the time is now with these guys. With Bay at quarterback, you can't lose. He's a guy that can get it done on the ground and through the air. Another team that I really really like is Prosper. Of course, we know that they have one of the best offensive lines in the state with my guy Zayden Crimpin and those guys over there. I think it's Imhoff is committed to Lamar at quarterback. They have a sleeper type of schedule. If they can get past this first game, of course they can open up. I think they meet Westlake if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a big game that not a lot of people are talking about. But I like what Prosper. I did an article on PrepRedZoneTexas.com a couple of weeks ago, and I had to dive into it. They got a lot of guys coming back. A senior heavy team. That's a team I think if everything aligns up that they can make a run, a deep run. Now, I'm not saying they'll get to the state title game, but I expect them to get out of the first round this year for sure.
Yeah, I know it's a tough district with 6A and Allen, but then you mentioned North Forney. I think about the Duncanville district. We always call it the District of Doom.
All right.
Seems like if North Forney is on the rise, that 10-6A is nearing the top as a competitive with Rockwall, Forney, Longview.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't count out the Jackrabbits with Javion Osborne, the Michigan commit. He's one of the top running backs in the state, definitely in the country. And then the Longview Lobos. Coach King's always going to have those guys playing good football. And then, hey, you're going to have to play some defense when you play Heath or Rockwall. They're going to put it up in the air. Another team, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but Roy City, the Bulldogs, is a team that you kind of got to keep an eye on. They got some young talent over there that's about to come out. They got a favorable schedule coming out. They play Braswell. They play a couple of teams that they should win games. I look for the Bulldogs to go into district play at least 2-2, about 500. But you're going to have to compete, and there's some road games that you're going to have to go. You got to go to Longview. You got the North Forney matchup's going to be big. It's a rivalry game. So that district's tough. I would say it's kind of top heavy from 1 through 6, Legacy, you never can count out an East Texas team with Tyler Legacy. So, but I think that it's going to be between Forney, Longview, and North Forney for who wins the district for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'll get you out on this, Mark. Just we've already sort of talked about it, but I'll give you the full red carpet treatment. Just what are some of the things you might be working on? And then again, just plug in some of your social medias and where we can find you.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate the opportunity anytime coming on with you. You know, you my guy. We go way back. You can also the big thing that I'm doing right now is pushing onthemarksports.com. We're kind of revamping the website. Should be up, ready to go probably the end of this week. Definitely by Labor Day. But we want to focus more on article writing. You know what I'm saying? I got a guy working with me in Tennessee that's going to be covering some Tennessee high school football. Shout out to my guy Jay Pace. Bailey Stanfield's going to be working with me in the DFW area, and got a guy in Oklahoma as well. So we're just trying to branch out and do things, just like what you're doing. Shout out to Nolan as well. You know, you guys are doing a bang up job, doing some things, with your site. Definitely the On Your Mark shows each week, live on the Fishbowl Radio Network. Tomorrow it'll move to 6 o'clock. It was at 11 o'clock, but some schedule changes have gone through. Still lead scout in the state of Texas for Prep Red Zone Texas as well. And also, listen, we've been doing some things with the platform that you guys should check out. It's called the Platform DFW Podcast. You can check it out on the DR Sports YouTube network. I've got 2 or 3 episodes in now. My most recent episode should drop tomorrow with Coach Hitchens, the offensive coordinator for North Forney. He's my guest this week. But just trying to keep everything, of course, hornsports.com, recruiting analyst there as well. We're about to kick off, of course, the Texas coverage this weekend with Ohio State. So, I'm always busy, guys. As you can follow me on Twitter at monomarksports.com. Still Top Texas Prospects as well. You can follow me on Instagram at MARC_HEN44. Top Texas Prospects on Instagram. You can also follow Prep Red Zone Texas on Twitter and Instagram as well. You can find me there as well. So I'm all over the place, guys. And it's just really, you got to pick your poison with me. You know what I'm saying? But the big thing that I'm pushing is onthemarksports.com. Guys, go check it out right now. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. All you do is just go to the bottom and put your email in. Anytime we drop some content, you're going to get it for free. Any recruiting news, of course, high school football. We got a guy in Tennessee. We got a guy in Oklahoma. We're going to be dropping stuff daily, so check out onthemarksports.com, man. It's definitely worth your time. If you love high school football, we're going to have you tapped in with just about everything from recruiting to college football. We got our rankings on there. If you go and check out, we got 5AD2, 5AD1, and 6A on the website right now. But those rankings will change each week. So we just appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to tap in anytime. You can hit me up, man. This is my guy. Proud of everything that you've been doing, my guy. I'm just a phone call away if you need me.
All right, incredible stuff. Keep doing the good work you're doing, and excited to cross paths with you this season.
Absolutely. You know where I'll be. I'll be on the sideline somewhere.
Sidelines near you, right? Mark Henry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, that's Mark Henry on the Mark Sports Show. Again, check him out. And that'll do it for another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. If you need some t-shirts, some merchandise gear, now's the time. Go check them out, greywolfpromotions.com. And until next time, enjoy the football season, and we'll catch you on another episode of Game Time with the Goss. Aloha.